On the 26th and 27th of July, 2026, what we call the nodes of fate shift from their 18-month journey in the axis of Pisces and Virgo to that of Aquarius and Leo, pointing the way for a brand new shift in what karma is getting activated and unfolding now within the collective and in our individual lives. The nodes aren't planets, they are mathematical points where the moon's orbit crosses the sun's path, like this, which we call the ecliptic, as the moon moves around the earth. And they have a lot to do with the timing in each of our lives around what karmic events are destined to occur. Because that's how we look at an astrological chart as a whole. It's a one-dimensional map of the soul's desires for incarnating and the various events, opportunities, people, places, and things that will get lit up depending on typically what outer planet transits and the moon, and how those transits are occurring in terms of how they aspect our own personal natal charts. So that's why the entire chart is never really active at one time, and the whole thing is karmic, because it's more so that the natal chart shows the potential for each of us in the lifetime, but the timing will be greatly influenced by those outer planetary movements, especially at eclipse time. Eclipses bring both permanent endings and new beginnings. Solar eclipses, which occur at new moons, tend to open new doors and shift our ambitions, our purpose, and our direction in life. And lunar eclipses, which occur at full moons, they tend to close doors and reveal karmic manifestations and culminations of events that demonstrate usually a significant change in our circumstances. The moon in Hellenistic astrology was related to fate and fortune and the fluctuations of those constantly in our lives. The moon is our body, mind, in concert with our environment, the people around us, and even our own bodies. So that's why astrologers make such a big deal about eclipses, because nodal changes into new signs signify dramatic change in circumstances and in our own next steps. And this particular nodal change into Leo and Aquarius is packing a massive karmic punch because it's in the context of that cradle basket Pandora's box formation that has never happened before. All the while we have two outer planets that will also be in Leo and Aquarius for this 18-month journey. Hi, I'm Amy Rose White. I'm an integrative psychotherapist. I've been doing that nearly 2 decades, and I'm a counseling astrologer making YouTube videos on concrete self-healing tools that align with the astrological movements. Please see all my free healing guides, my Chiron and Taurus healing kit, and links to book with me down below. So in the Vedic tradition, the nodes, as you probably already know, were called Rahu and Ketu, or the head and the tail of the dragon. And unlike evolutionary astrology, which describes more of a go towards your north node and not so much the south node in a total nutshell, I'm reducing that down quite a bit. No, the Vedic looked at the north node, yes, as an area of increase in terms of our desires, and the south node, the tail of the dragon, an excretion or releasing energy, yes, but only as a result of many lifetimes of attention in that axis, where we've had a hunger for both topics and archetypal images associated to the signs and the houses represented wherever our north and south nodes are in our natal chart. Those are going to be the areas of life that we tend to be preoccupied with, that we might even have an insatiable hunger around. And that when we get that thing that we think we want or need represented by the sign and the house in our nodal placements, it's still never quite enough. So it's a very dynamic area of tension in the chart that's important to be mindful of, but it is not our life's purpose or the direction we should be going to. And so we need to be mindful of letting our desires get the best of us related to our nodal ambitions. So this video is about what to anticipate as the nodes not only just shift into new signs, but they do so while the north node in Aquarius will be co-present with Pluto, where Pluto has not been since 1777 to 1798. And I'm sure you can remember from history class, that's when we had the American and French Revolution, massive changes in technology and science, and new social and political movements and philosophies were emerging at that time. So with Pluto with the North Node in Aquarius, it's also uniquely opposing Jupiter. and will oppose that Jupiter for the first 12 of those 18 months journey in Leo and Aquarius. And Jupiter hasn't been there in Leo since 2014 to 2015. So you can kind of look back to the last time the nodes were here, but not really. The last time we had the North Node in Aquarius was back in 2004 to July of 2005. We didn't have Pluto and Jupiter opposing each other. So when outer planets are in new signs, we're really in for a different kind of experience this time, especially with that basket formation, sextile and trine still occurring with Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And of course, this nodal shift is happening with Pluto still opposing Jupiter, and a Jupiter on the day of this transition in the heart of the sun, Cazimi, which I'm going to cover more in my full moon video. Because it's not quite exact, it will become exact within a day or two after the nodal shift. So given all that, the axis of Aquarius and Leo in your chart is where radical, deep intrapsychic transformation is going to be part of this upcoming eclipse cycle starting in August. And with that Jupiter-Pluto opposition, we have a massive expansion here, a force, powerful underground cataclysmic forces of expansion, and ideally blessing, support, protection, divine protection in the Leo and Aquarius sectors of our chart. So because of Pluto's super long transit around the zodiac, this would be a once in a lifetime nodal axis shift for all of us. And one of the reasons why I find this nodal shift to be so incredibly exciting is that, yes, Jupiter does tend to bring a manifestation of blessings, protection, support, and a feeling of being kind of buoyed by our spirit guides, a feeling of our spirit team being close at hand, and of wisdom being gained, and of could be a larger than life attitude developing in us. And in the sign of Leo, and you can see my Jupiter in Leo video linked here above, that's in the sign of the inner child, of the part of us that never forgets how to play. Or for those of us who didn't get to play as children, it's an opportunity to learn how to do that now. Jupiter in Leo really gives us the spirit of generosity, creative leadership, and an open, big heart. So that larger than life experience is baked into 18 months of the next eclipses. And the eclipses occur when the sun and the moon get within 18 degrees of those nodal points. And around 18 degrees will get you a partial eclipse, and anything less than 10 to 12 will give you a total eclipse, either lunar or solar. So the unexpected changes that often come in around eclipse time are fulcrum points that accent the focus where we're already aware of feeling, seeing, and experiencing in the Pluto-Leo areas of our charts. And of course, if the nodes themselves are going to aspect any of your planets or points you have in Leo or Aquarius, you will be significantly impacted. And if the eclipses themselves fall within 30 degrees or so of either side of any personal planets, luminaries, or even outer planets in your chart, you're likely to experience a massive transformation in your life. You're sure to see it in other people's lives, even if a specific eclipse isn't affecting you specifically in your birth chart. And both Pluto and Jupiter have similar goals, as I've stated in earlier videos. They reward us for wisdom gained through life experience. And they both grant healing and the ability to help heal others in our lives, whether we call ourselves a healer or not. And they bring a sense of confidence, wisdom, and sometimes a weathered, hard-earned feeling of self-trust, kind of similar to Saturn work, that although, again, hard-earned, it ends up feeling really worth it because we have more trust, admiration, and respect for ourselves on the other side's Jupiter-Pluto transits. Now, I know everyone says Jupiter just brings you good things, but there can be hard work involved with Jupiter, especially going internal because of the opposition to Pluto. Because Jupiter will expand anything that it touches, and that can include challenges and difficulties in the chart as well. But Jupiter is going to make some exciting aspects to outer planets that I outlined in that Jupiter and Leo video that I think will increase the odds of good fortune spilling into our lives, especially around heart healing. And I think that could be literal for people with heart issues, and also for those that perhaps have carried a broken heart throughout our lives. And because where the nodes are is a place where we are striving for more balance and equanimity, a sense of enoughness, a sense of peace, and allowance and acceptance in those themes, we're very likely to find ourselves focused on the generosity that we can extend to others. That's Pluto and Aquarius, and not just ourselves, Jupiter and Leo, where we can be egoic and we can get lost in our own personal dramas in Leo. We can overinflate our sense of importance and we can get stuck in material desires and matters. But what I predict is that a heart-centered leadership, rather than oppressive, manipulative, power and control over leadership, is likely to gain popularity and momentum at this time. I believe that the Pluto and Aquarius transit, humanity will prevail, and that as a human race, we will see through the illusions of power and control structures that we've told ourselves, we've brainwashed ourselves, we've been brainwashed to believe they have our best interests at hand, and really truly be able to see that they generally do not, and reclaim our personal authority to lead in community, Leo, around us, to set down our natural proclivities towards self-focused thinking and go towards more of the Aquarian collaborative, innovative archetype of what is good for all of us. And I'm not talking about any particular social or political ideology here. I'm thinking about how do we really feel and stay heart connected and retain our sense of empathy for other people in moving forward with our own personal decisions about what we participate in and what we don't, and thus be able and willing to set down some of our selfish desires in that process. The invitation is to stay connected to our emotional world and the heart of each individual person in humanity, because Aquarius can get emotionally distant. It is Saturn ruled, after all. And Leo, of course, is ruled by the sun, which, at least to this point in time, never stops emanating life-giving, life force energy, the core vitality that literally makes life on Earth possible. And because Aquarius is technology and Pluto can be the misuse, abuse, and control via technology, hello flock cameras, there will be a big tension around needing to do that in the next 18 months that follow. And we might very well be asked to look at our own self-destructive tendencies, or where we just go along to get along with the group, mindlessly like sheep without questioning why we're doing what we're doing. And this is a time to evaluate, what is the cost truly of some of the choices we're making on a day-to-day basis. I know I'm constantly asking myself this when I go to the airport and decide that I'm too much in a hurry, that I don't want to take the time to decline the facial recognition software. And I make all these justifications that my picture's already everywhere. But deep down, I feel like it's a moment where I might be needing to start rebelling myself around that, just as one example. And remember, of course, I know all of us in YouTube land have been harping on for the last few weeks that every single transit we've been talking about and this initiatory flavor that's getting baked into this eclipse cycle is happening in this extraordinarily rare minor grand trine multi-planet sextile with Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus and Jupiter at the moment at 4 degrees. Still very active as the nodes change signs that we've never seen before. This level of cosmic support for being soul-centered. What does that mean? It means being connected to something that is greater than us, because the soul is eternal. That is what all the ancient astrological philosophies were predicated on. It's not related to this meat suit, our soul, this face, this body, this voice, these talents, these particular parents we were raised with and friends we have and the money we have or the money we don't. Our soul is eternal. So when we're soul-centered, when we're heart-centered, Leo, I would say soul-centered can be Pluto too, with Jupiter just about to conjoin the sun just a couple days after the nodal switch, we have this powerful reprogramming around the experience of separation from the divine. And because, again, sextiles are opportunities and trines are kind of fated events in my mind, if we show up with effort, if we do the open-hearted thing instead of the closed-hearted thing, if we give generously, if we make eye contact with people instead of withholding or acting in selfish ways that might even subtly seek to harm or diminish others, if we choose to take positive behavioral action that is in service of others, not just ourselves. This is a great 18-month time to get back to volunteering, by the way. If we do those things, we actually get closer and closer contact with our spiritual guidance system. and with the sense of safety and security that comes from knowing deep down, even when life is extremely difficult, that we are an eternal soul. When we make contact with that, our lives become so much more joyful, playful, fun, and much, much more meaningful. That is what this nodal shift has to offer every single one of us. So your meditation for the nodal axis shift into Aquarius and Leo, North Node in Aquarius, South Node in Leo, is where have I got lost in groupthink? And what do I know now is true for me around institutions, authority figures, and my place in all of that? It's a big question, I know. Your mirror work for the transit is you are allowed to say no with an open heart. I get that from my teacher, London Angel Winters, by the way, props to her. And your mantra for this nodal shift is, I walk in the world with love and compassion for all. I used to end all my videos when I was just a mental health channel with the metta prayer, and I think that this is a good time to bring it back, at least for this one. May you be safe, may you be well, may you be healthy, and may you be at peace. Thank you for your presence here. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel and giving me a reason to keep making these videos. Thank you so much for your thoughtful, kind comments. Thank you for taking the time to tap that like button and sharing this with the people in your life. Thank you so much for the lovely clients that I get to work with by virtue of my presence here. Check out these videos above me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.